The article is linked. Follow along if you'd like. Those on YouTube, they're following along with us here with the blurbs on each player. So let's start with the pitching side. You got Kyle Harrison, left-handed pitcher with the San Francisco Giants. Harrison has been a guy that I'm not putting him in the prospect fatigue bucket, but he rose to prominence so quickly with his utter domination as an overslot high school guy. Really right off the bat that he was just carving dudes. That he very quickly became a top prospect because it was, high school lefty that has a fastball that is a whiff machine and a nasty slider. Okay, I'm going to start getting excited about this guy. And you should still be excited about him. He's 21. As you can see in the numbers, he's striking out 15 per 9. The ERA is inflated, but we don't really look at ERA too much in the PCL, especially when you're a elevated fastball guy.
Yeah.
He's not really getting knocked out of the yard that much. 9 homers is not that bad for a high fastball guy in the PCL. It's the walks, Jack, and that's kind of been the story with him. He's walking 17% of batters. That translates to 7 walks per 9. It's just not going to fly. The thing that frustrates me the most with Harrison is that every time I think he's putting it together, where it's like, oh, wow, he hasn't walked anybody in this 3-start stretch. Or when I say hasn't walked anybody, it's relative to what I'm used to with him. But, there was a 3-start stretch to kick off June where he, I think, walked a total of 6 batters, punched out 19, looks really solid. And then kind of right back to it where he's giving up more home runs. He's walking more guys. The home runs have started to creep back in again. I think that's what makes him nibble more. But the home runs weren't an issue through the entire first part of the year. Now it's an issue. So I should kind of rephrase what I said earlier. Home runs weren't an issue the first half of the season, but you look at the last handful of starts, he's been giving up a lot more homers, walking slightly less. I feel like he's struggling to toe that line of like, I don't want to leave it over the middle, but I also don't want to walk guys. He's still figuring things out. And I do think it was a little aggressive maybe to assign him to AAA. I know he was dominating doubles, so maybe hindsight's 2020 here. That said, I'm very excited to watch this guy pitch in the futures game. He's electric and really fun.
For sure. And here's to hoping that he can throw strikes in the futures game. So think about Kyle Harrison, 2 homers allowed in the first 2 months of the season. They both came in the same start at Reno on May 17th. After that, he's allowed at least a home run in each of his last 5 starts. Mm-hmm. He allowed 3 homers at Round Rock on June 22nd. So yes, but let me give you the walk totals when he wasn't allowing those homers. First 2 months of the season, again, 2 homers came in his, 9th start of the year. No homers through his first 8 starts.
Yeah, so that's what I was making a mental note of, and then it just went to the wayside.
Yeah, but through the first 8 starts, the walk totals, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 4, 0, 3. You can't do that. So I think we're waiting for one outing, and we got it, but it was only 4 innings on May 6th, where he was 4 innings of 1-hit shutout ball, didn't walk anybody. We're waiting for a consistent stretch of outings where he's not allowing the long ball, and he's walking 1 or 0 guys. And we're just going to wait a little bit longer here. Yeah. Unfortunately, he's closer to DL Hall than, if we're comparing it to the Orioles situation, we were hoping that Kyle Harrison was closer to Grayson Rodriguez than DL Hall. Now it looks like he's closer to Hall than Rodriguez.
Yeah, 100%. And Grayson continues to look good of late, by the way. And that's why I thought it was kind of wild when Farhan came out and was like, yeah, we're hoping Kyle Harrison's going to be a part of our rotation at some point this year. I like the optimism, but I didn't see anything last year that would have told me, hey, this guy's ready to be a contributor in the rotation. There was flashes of it, but you could see a guy that once he gets to the tighter zone in AAA would probably struggle even more. And then could you imagine the big leagues with how tight the zone is and how much more disciplined these hitters are, especially how much more disciplined they are to lay off the high fastball. So I'm still extremely bullish on what Kyle Harrison can be. He was a number 33 prospect for us going into the year, and I think we were lower on him than most of the industry. He is still a premier left-handed pitching prospect. He's 21. So this year could be lost for him, so to speak. And it's not lost because he's developing, he's learning. He's worked his pitch count up of late, which I think is interesting too. 3 of his last 4 starts have been over 80 pitches, which he had not gone really over 80 at all before that, and had barely gone over 70 through the first 10 starts of the season. So he's building up, but at the same time, he's only thrown 5 innings once. I do think that there's a world where if the Giants are competing this year, maybe Kyle Harrison comes up in a bullpen role. Just would be nice to get him, up with the big league team, kind of get some experience, work with the big league pitching coaches. And I think he could contribute out of the bullpen. That fastball, he could just go in there and just throw fastballs, kind of like DL Hall did in spurts last year for the Orioles, and was effective in spurts as a reliever for them. They didn't end up making the playoffs, but it might have been a good, experience for him. That could be what we see with Harrison. Regardless, it's an arm that will be very fun to watch in the futures game. And is extremely talented. It's just, he's going to take some patience, and hopefully he develops past the DL Hall situation. The one thing that's good is, knock on wood, not as much of the, litany of injury history that Hall has. It's really just the command that he's struggling with.
Yeah.
Another Giants lefty, much different profile. And I'm really enjoying what we've seen from Carson Whisenhunt. Recently promoted to Double-A. We talked about kind of his whole story very recently, and just kind of where he is at, why he fell, and why he might be one of the best steals of this recent draft. I think they're managing his innings a little bit since the promotion. I'm not totally sure. The first 2 outings or first 4 outings, in Double-A. First one, he went 5 innings in Altoona, or at home against Altoona, was nasty. 5 shutty, 7 Ks. Then he pitches against Bowie, was not great there, only went 3 2/3. Then he goes against Harrisburg. They only let him go 2 innings. He gave up 5 runs, 3 earned. And then he went 2 innings against Reading and walked 5. So I don't even know if it's an innings management thing. I think it might just be he lost the command a little bit the last couple starts. He's getting adjusted to Double-A. And the number one thing for me is when you look at guys like Whisenhunt, which it's fastball 93, 94. That's kind of an average pitch.
Yeah.
Changeup is plus and fantastic. And then he's trying to find the curveball. He just dominated guys as a fastball changeup guy in high A. Now you're in Double-A. It's hard to dominate guys as a fastball changeup guy in Double-A. You got to have something else, especially in today's Double-A. Today's Double-A is almost like Triple-A extended. And I think he's seeing that challenge now. Is I can't just ride my changeup to success. Guys are spinning on anything from the knees below, and that's why he's walking more dudes. I think he's going to figure it out. He's 22. He's really nasty with the changeup. The changeup numbers are off the charts. Fastball velocity is solid. He'll get there, but he's going to have to get better with the fastball command. He's going to have to find that curveball a bit more. But I'm liking what I've seen from Whisenhunt so far in his first pro year, and he absolutely earned this futures game opportunity.
I'm going to elevate it a little bit more. I really like what I've seen from Carson Whisenhunt, and I feel like he is the perfect he's the perfect, I guess, like safe profile to complement what Kyle Harrison does in the Giants system, where like Kyle Harrison, the stuff is crazy, but the volatility with command is off the charts. Here, Whisenhunt has this pitchability that like you love to see from college lefties, and he had it. Whisenhunt, it's a matter of, I don't know, maybe like the breaking stuff ticking up a little bit. Whisenhunt is one of 3 guys that I am most excited to see throw. The other 2 we're going to talk about in the next 3.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is the changeup is that Bugs Bunny changeup is here. I mean, it is just disgusting. Opponents have a 330 OPS against it with a 51% strikeout rate. Yeah. But most impressively, his feel for the changeup, like you can't really teach that. 72% strike rate on the changeup. He's going to have
God-given.
That's God-given. 47% strike rate on the curveball. That's not. And the thing is, though, is I know that this dude's going to find a way to spin an average curveball, or at least I feel confident that he will. So in the Giant system, especially as well, they've done a pretty good job of helping develop arms. And I know that there's been some frustrations of late, but I think it's gotten better overall with the system. You can teach this dude, a 6'3" lefty who has a great feel to pitch, to spin an average breaking ball. And the fastball command, I think, will just come with innings. So I'm excited to see Whisenhunt, and he's really solidifying himself as a very solid arm at 22 years old.
Absolutely.
Another solid arm that I think is better than the numbers would indicate is Mick Abel of the Phillies. Abel, 21 years old, still kind of same as Kyle Harrison, high school arm, electric stuff. I think Abel has a really interesting pitch mix that gives him a chance to be a special arm, but similar to a lot of these, ridiculous stuff kind of guys, it's finding the feel for the rest of the secondaries. I can boil down Abel to as simple as this, Jack. 66% strike rate on the fastball, 58% strike rate on the curveball, 51% strike rate on the slider, and 55% strike rate on the changeup. For reference, fastball, you want to be in the mid 60s. So that's fine for him. Secondary stuff, you want to be at the very least in the high 50s or low 60s. He's not in either of those besides the curveball, which is just on the edge of the high 50s. It's really just that simple for Abel. Everything else, he's just fine. He's 6'5", he's athletic. The stuff is crazy. He sits 97. He's special. It's just secondary command like it is for so many big, tall, powerful high school righties.
Yes. And my thing with him is like, it's not often that you see a guy that opponents are hitting a $1.98 against have a 4.7 ERA. Like, he's beating himself, if that tells you anything. And Abel, what fascinates me is like this guy did not allow homers last year. 23 starts, 108 innings, 11 homers. So far this year in 60 2/3. So a little bit more than half the inning load that he had last year. He's allowed 9 homers already. That can happen to four-seam guys.
Yep.
But for some reason, it wasn't happening last year, and it's happening this year.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting note because as you were legitimately saying that, I'm looking at the hit breakdown. He's given up 44 hits this year, but 28 of them have been for extra bases.
Yeah.
Is that a little bit of bad luck? Maybe. Is it a little bit of just getting hit hard? When he does get hit, I think that's it too. So there's almost this no in between. It's almost like the opponent of Mick Abel. If you could create a hitter out of all of the hitters against Mick Abel statistically, it's a 3 true outcome hitter. Like Mick Abel's opponent is a 3 true outcome hitter, which is fine because I think he's going to take care of the walk outcome. And I think when you take care of that, almost simultaneously, some of the extra base hit issues will go away. It's less hitters counts. It's less counts where guys are just hunting fastball. I think that's really what it is. Is the only time you're going to get to Abel is when you really cheat for that fastball and a hitter's count and get on top of that 98. And really good hitters can do that. And I think when he gets ahead, he'll be in good shape. And I think that's just something that he's not doing a ton of. If you look at all the home runs he's given up too, it's to some of the best hitting prospects in the game. So I think it's just guys getting ahead of him and ambushing the fastball. And I think that's got to be the scouting report is make him beat you with the pitches that he isn't confident landing for a strike. And when you look, what's really funny? Look at the swing percentage by pitch. Fastball swing percentage, 53%. Curveball swing percentage, 36%. Slider swing percentage, 35%. Changeup swing percentage, 44%. And that's only probably because they think it's a fastball. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know. Mick Abel is going to be just fine. That approach won't work when he starts spotting that secondary stuff. Then you're in trouble. Then it's top pitching prospect in the game type stuff. He has to do it. And I think he will because he's so athletic, but that's pretty much the only thing missing right now. And I'm very excited to watch him. I agree.
It's a matter of when, not if, and it requires effort. Like it's going to require a concentrated effort. Abel actually wasn't one of those guys for me. Wisenhunt is 3. I think Abel is 4, but 2 and 1 are the next 2 guys.
Oh, true. I thought you were saying the next 3, but I think you wouldn't say that you are not excited to see Mick Abel. So
no, I'm dreading that.
I'm going to close my eyes.
It's going to suck watching Kyle Harrison and Mick Abel for me.
This guy I'm extremely excited to see. It's Tink Hence of the St. Louis Cardinals. And Tink is so fun. It's been a really interesting development for him because you've seen how careful the Cardinals have been with him, and understandably so. High school arm, smaller guy, really athletic, but really electric arm. And I would be very careful with this guy too. I would be very excited about what I've got with him here. He is starting to slowly get stretched out a bit more. And also the fastball velo continues to go up as the season has gone on. I don't have the numbers on his last start, which came in Peoria against Cedar Rapids on the 29th, but his start on the 22nd against Quad Cities, he went 5 innings of shutout ball, 2 hits, no walks, 7 Ks. Sat 92 with the fastball. And the start before that, he sat 97.2 with the fastball, excuse me. And the start before that, he sat 97.6 with the fastball. That's really impressive because those weren't 2-3 inning spurt Tin Cans. We've been seeing more of the 4 or 5 inning spurt Tin Cans of late, aside from the last outing where he got knocked around and left a little early. We're seeing him kind of go deeper into starts a little bit more here. This is a special arm.
Tin Cans was recently promoted to Double-A. So Hance is going to Springfield. It comes after a bad start against Cedar Rapids. Inning and 2/3, 4 hits, 4 runs. But he's been so ridiculously good every other time he's been on the hill, man. Like, there are a couple blow-up starts that I'm looking at here. But I'm honestly just going to run through his 11 starts this year in high A. 4 innings, no runs. 3 2/3, no runs. 3 innings, no runs. 3 innings, 4 runs. Blow up 1. 3 innings, 3 runs. Yeah, blow up 2. 4 innings, no runs. 5 innings, 1 run. 5 innings, 1 run. 4 1/3, 1 run. 5 innings, no runs. Inning and 2/3, 3 earned.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's got 3 blips. With a young guy and a slight frame that is very heavily protected, 3 blips at 11 starts is excellent.
What really impresses me too is the command, because he's fastball heavy. It's a 60% usage on the fastball, but he's got a curveball, he's got a changeup, and then either some pitches that might be a curveball that registers a slider or whatever it may be. But he goes curveball, changeup plenty, and he only walks 7% of batters as a high school righty that's 20 years old, who's been protected. This guy has a chance to be really special. I'm very eager to watch him pitch, and I'm very eager to see how he does in Double-A.
Yeah, 21 innings, 20 punch outs, 3 walks in June.
Yeah.
That's going to play, man. And like, I don't think he is the meteoric rise candidate that Mason Wynn was, that Jordan Walker was, but Tin Cans is going to finish this year in double. He'll probably start next year in triple, and we could see a 21-year-old arm in the big leagues next year.
100%. 100%. And I'm excited to see how, when they start to take the training wheels off a little bit more, but don't blame them for taking the time. I think that you take the Dodgers approach here with Tin Cans. Jacob Mizorowski, we've talked about him plenty with the Milwaukee Brewers, and this has to be, I talked about him a little bit earlier where I was like, this is the guy that I think my prediction on the Just Baseball show was that Jacob Mizorowski is going to go viral on just how nasty a couple of his pitches are going to be. Pitching Ninja is going to be all over it, and people are going to say, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I'm already putting that one in the books. He's 6'7", 200 pounds, 21 years old, runs it up to 101, 102, and also has a cutter at 90 to 93, a mid-80s sweeper, and no one knows how to categorize his pitches. So if you look at different write-ups of Jacob Mizorowski, you're going to see different pitch names from, I actually talked to a lot of different people to try to figure out what exactly they are. And from some of the hitters that faced him to a couple people in the org, the consensus I seem to get is we prepare for a low 90s cutter and a mid 80s sweeper. That's what they're telling us is coming. And that's the scouting report. So that's what I think the movement profiles are closest to. The cutter is comical. The sweeper is hilarious. And the fastball gets on you quick from a low release point and a long release point at 6'7". If Mizorowski even has average command, he has a chance to be a frontline dude.
He throws weird as shit too. Like, he's a lanky guy that uses his length. If you were to jokingly put together a creative player in MLB The Show and you made like super long arms and super long legs, that's kind of what Mizorowski does. And he's got so many limbs flying everywhere at any given moment. And then he comes on you from that Joe Ryan attack angle where it's low and straight at you, and it just fucking jumps. And instead of 93, like Joe Ryan or Scherzer, it's 102. And then you have that weird, whippy, lanky delivery resulting in a crazy sweeper This guy's number one on my list of dudes that I need to see perform at the futures game, because this guy, if he is dialed in for his inning, I mean, we're not going to shut up about Mizorowski.
I already don't want to shut up about Mizorowski. He averages 98 with the fastball. In zone whiff across his arsenal is 35%.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Like, all of a sudden, the baseball's on you. You have no idea what's coming from a hitter perspective.
So I have a couple friends that are nerds about that still are in pro ball, that are nerds about kind of just the release point and the kind of the, I would say, the drive line aspect of pitching, but just kind of breaking down all of the attack angle combined with the ride, combined with the movement profile, combined with the extension. And to them, Mizorowski is one of the biggest outliers they've ever seen. A couple of my friends that are catchers were like almost want to be traded to the organization to catch him, just because they're like, I want to see what this looks like when you can call pitches and kind of, receive it in different ways. This guy has a chance to be a unicorn, because it's really hard to teach that low VAA, especially with a 6'7" guy, and especially while still getting that extension. So I'm excited to see him from some better camera angles and to see him in person. So this is a special pitching prospect that the Brewers have kind of brewing here. And since his promotion to high A, he's been lights out. It's pretty much been strong appearance after strong appearance after strong appearance. His last two have been his worst, quote unquote, in high A, where he's given up 2 earned runs in each of the last 2. He hasn't given up a home run all year either. So definitely has a chance to be very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Next up is Mike Vassell. We've talked about him a little bit in the Mets organization, 23 years old. He's run into a little bit of trouble in AAA. I mean, that's kind of comes with the territory when you're a guy with a bunch of 50s. Most of his pitches are 50s across the board. I think the changeup is the closest to a plus pitch. It all plays up across the board because of, I think how well he's able to repeat his release point. And it's kind of looks like this short arm release point where it's hard to differentiate the ball out of his hand. But without anything jumping off the page, he has to have that command working for him, and it hasn't totally been there for him in AAA. That said, I think Vassell has a great chance of being a back end of the rotation arm. He dominated through AA this year, and without a doubt earned this futures game appearance. And looks like, Blade Tidwell turned in a ridiculous outing the other day, 11 Ks of shutout ball in 7 innings. But him and Vassell are very clearly the two most exciting arms in the system. And Vassell is very easily the best arm in this system, earning that promotion to AAA.
Yeah, so Vassell, I'm pulling up the Baseball Savant, just kind of like pitch breakdown of Vassell, because when he's at his best, he's mixing pitches, right? He's throwing everything, not everything like 20% of the time if he's got a 5-pitch mix, but I see 44% cutter last time out against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. So he was 44% cutter that's at 89. He was 25% four-seamer that's at 93. 15% curveball at 79. 12% changeup at 86, and mixed in a couple sinkers at 93. So this guy's keeping you on your toes. This is not one of the more talented arms that we've got in the futures game, but he is maybe the highest floor arm that we have in the futures game.
That's what everybody's lining up to see, is the high floors.
He's the Spencer Steer selection of this futures game, where it's like, hey, guy's just a ball player.
But he earned it. He earned it. I'm just not that excited.
and that's the beauty of baseball, man. You can earn it in different ways. And I think that's the best part about Vassell. Like, he may throw directly before or after Mizorowski, and those two could be more different.
That's what I'm going to get my chicken tenders, I think. But if no offense to Mike Vassell. But
I'm going when Yasver Zulueta throws.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. A guy that I think most people might not think would be an exciting arm to watch, but I think is Spencer Schwellenbach. He's a really interesting story. He's a two-way player and like a legitimate two-way prospect out of Nebraska. He barely pitched at Nebraska, which is the crazy part, but was running it up to the upper 90s. And the Braves saw something. When the Braves see something in those guys outside of the first round, they always drill it. They always nail them. And Schwellenbach, if you graduate, quote unquote, AJ Smith-Shawver, Schwellenbach looks like the best pitching prospect in this system. Fastball is sitting mid 90s up to the upper 90s. I think he's flirted with triple digits this year, but I think mostly he's topped out at the 98 range. And he spots it. I mean, he really commands the fastball well. You see the athleticism on the mound as a two-way player with the way he's able to repeat his mechanics. The slider's good, and the changeup's a work in progress. But Schwellenbach recently promoted, I believe, to high A, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw he was promoted to high A, but I might be wrong about that. Regardless, he has been lights out this year, especially as of late in low A. Yes, he's older for low A as a 23-year-old, but he underwent Tommy John surgery shortly after the draft, and is really early in his development as a pitcher, as a two-way guy. He's off to a fantastic start, and I think he's going to make up for lost time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's been promoted to high A or not. He hasn't appeared in high A yet, which is Rome. But no, man, like he's been awesome so far in low A with Augusta. I would like to see a college arm a little bit higher than low A, but I mean, there's so much tread on the tires pitching wise. Like you got to see what you got, I guess.
Yeah.
No, Schwellenbach is like an interesting one where he's not going to have the sex appeal of, the Tink Hence and the Mizorowski. Like he's going to be closer to Vaso, but knowing the backstory, it's going to be interesting to watch Schwellenbach.
Yeah. So I just double checked. Definitely was not promoted. Don't know why I made that up. I'm a fraud. But the one thing I'll say is, in my mind, for what it's worth, like you can tell me if this is stupid. He's almost not a college arm to me because he was a two-way guy through like not that many innings. I think mostly in short spurts in one season in college, and then gets the Tommy John. So while he's older in terms of age, I feel like he's early in his development. So I'm willing to kind of make an exception to him being a 23-year-old in low A. Of course, I want to see him in high A and against better competition. But I think all things considered, you got to be really excited about it because beyond the results, the stuff looks really good and the numbers look really good.
Yeah.
Patrick Monteverde. Miami Marlins send this guy, and you know what? This is another guy that just straight up earned it. You can't take anything away from him. I keep waiting for Monteverde to slow down in the Southern League, as some of these guys that were really benefiting from the tacked baseball have kind of slowed down a little bit, as I've heard that some different baseballs have been mixed in there. Hitters have started to adjust, kind of knowing what the baseball is going to do now as you get used to it and compile 200 plate appearances in this guinea pig league. But Monteverde's faced pretty much the same teams. Like it's a rotation. If you go through each of his three starts, it's like Montgomery, Biloxi, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mississippi, Birmingham, Tennessee, Mississippi, Biloxi, Montgomery, Mississippi, Tennessee, Montgomery. Like that's what the Southern League does to you. There's only a handful of teams, and nobody is really adjusted to him. He's had one blow-up start this year of 6 earned runs against Mississippi at Mississippi. But since then, like it's really the worst starts he's had has been 3 earned runs and then 2 earned runs. Other than that, it's been 1 earned run or no earned runs. He's been lights out. And in his last outing at Montgomery, a very, very solid lineup, the Rays AA affiliate, 7 innings, 1 run. It was unearned, 1 walk, 5 Ks. Jack, I know it's low 90s. I know he sits 90 to 92, but like, are you starting to believe in the 25-year-old Patrick Monteverde? And you got to give the Marlins credit. Like they develop arms, and it looks like this might be a Marlins success story here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the fact that we published this article and his ERA drops 20 points after that with that 7, quote.
So he's sub 2 now.
He's 193.
Like I know it's the Southern League, but like a 193 in AA is a 193 in AA.
A 193 in AA with opponents hitting $185 against you and a whip under 1. So he's not beating himself by walking guys if the whip's under 1. Opponents are not squaring you up at all. And yeah, like I think this is a guy that has beaten the allegation or beaten the tacked baseball allegations.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate what Monteverde is doing, and I'm starting to think this is more of a success story with the Marlins pitching development than it is, like a guy like Pat Monteverde is good with these tacked baseballs.
So, I agree, and I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is the cutter. Because everyone's like, oh, he's 90 to 92, whatever. But the shape is good. But the cutter at 86, you can have a lot of success if you spot that cutter at 86. Then he's got the changeup off of that. Then he's got the curveball off of that, which is kind of a fringy pitch, but it's that's the fourth pitch. Spotting the cutter, that helps you versus lefties and righties. He's comfortable throwing it to both. Changeup is a good pitch against righties. He's got a bunch of different ways he can kind of get at you, and he's not going to be fun to watch. But this is another guy that earned it. Not that fun, but earned it, and definitely deserves the press. What I will say is I think the Marlins want him. There's another guy that I think they want to get some press for because I think he's a trade chip. I do. And the Marlins are probably buyers, and I can see them kind of dangling Monteverde as somebody in a package here. And I know he's older at 25, but that's a guy that if he's a secondary piece in a package, I'm not upset about getting him. I'd be pretty interested in what he's doing.
For sure. And he can get your fan base on board too, because I think baseball fans will look at a sub-2 ERA and AA and be like, damn, man, this guy can pitch.
Yep, 100%. Last pitcher before we get to the hitters is JP Massey. This was a kind of an unexpected player, I guess, to be in here with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Good numbers overall. I didn't really know much on Massey before this year. You can see my blurb is pretty short on him. He's a seventh round pick in the 2022 draft. He does have a 5-pitch mix. It's another guy that it's like kind of 45s to 50s across the board. The curveball is his best pitch. That's probably closest to a 55 pitch, but he doesn't command it that great. Massey's a decent arm. He's 6'5". He's athletic. He's put up good numbers this year, but this is kind of like a Pirates mail it in thing with one of the options. The next option when we get to the hitters is really good, but just not the best option in the world, but it's exciting for him, and strikeout numbers are decent.
I'm excited to get my very first look at JP Massey. That's a guy that I haven't watched throw in Bradenton or Greensboro. So, it'll be interesting. The numbers are good. So we'll see what JP Massey entails.
So right before we get to the hitters, I want to remind people, by the way, we're going to be out at All-Star Weekend. And we're working with eBay to bring you a lot of fun coverage of the entire All-Star Week, including we're going to be doing something during draft day. It's going to be kind of a watch party with eBay, and it's going to be an eBay trade night. And I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast are big-time collectors that love the hobby. We're going to be at Gantry Public House. I think I said that right. It's Gantry.
Gantry.
That's Gantry Public House. That's MLB Draft Night, Sunday, July 9th. We'll be out there. It's going to be a ton of fun. I think kind of an hour before or two before the draft, and then all the way through the draft, we'll be there. I'm bringing a bunch of my cards. I know a lot of other people are going to be bringing stuff. We're going to have a little trade night there with eBay, and then, of course, be covering the drafts, having fun with that, and just hanging out with whoever is just baseball audience, maybe eBay audience, maybe you just stumbled upon us on YouTube and you're going to be there. Come on by, come say hello, come check out some baseball cards. You don't have to have baseball cards to come to the trade night. You can come and either just browse through some people's collections. That's always fun. People love to kind of show you what they got, or you could buy some cards. So it'll be fun. If you have no interest in the cards, come hang out and watch the draft with us regardless. So we'll be at Gantry Public House on Sunday, July 9th, breaking down the draft. We will also have some draft coverage for you coming very soon, but looking forward to that. And come hang out with us if you're in Seattle.
Yeah, no, it's going to be awesome. I see Jello shots are there. So if you want to get crazy, have a Jello shot and then chat with cards. It's right next to Lumen Field, which is the home of the Seahawks. And, if you're walking down the third base line towards the left field foul pole, keep going like a block, and Gantry Public House is right there. Heard it's a great spot for Mariners pregame. So, that's a good area to be in. And hey, if you want to pop in there, we'll be right in the middle of all the happenings in Seattle. So come say hi, come chat prospects with us. If you want to look at the cardboard, go ahead and look at the cardboard as well.
Don't ever call it that. That's like Rob Manfred calling it a hunk of metal.
If you want to look at the wax, go ahead.
The wax. I know it's actually funny. No, you can call it cardboard. I think there's a lot of cardboard, play on words type of things, like cardboard connections or whatever. Yeah. I think we had a cardboard consultants thing for a little while. So So come look at the expensive cardboard. Although I don't even know if this is cardboard, but also this will be for sale there. Any Jared Kelenic fans, I'm selling this. It's going to hopefully pay for my Ubers around there.
I've got ungraded Bowman base, John Kensey Noel, and George Valera that I will be bringing.
Electric.
If anybody wants one for $2.
Let's get into the position players. And a guy that you've seen up close and personal of late is Endy Rodriguez. He earned his futures game nod last year, but he's been fine this year. He's much better than fine. I'll kind of leave the floor to you. He was our minor league hitter of the year last year. He was our number 21 preseason prospect overall. He's not going to fall. Like, he's probably just going to kind of stick there. Maybe a couple elite prospects jump over him. I'm still extremely bullish on him. He still deserves to be in the futures game, and he's still extremely talented. What have you seen that has kind of limited him from being the world domination Endy so far this year?
Yeah, I guess the juice is just not where I was expecting it to be. And like his 105s, 106s, they're not elevated in the way that I think they were last year. He's tapping into consistent like 104s, 105s. Problem is they're hot shot singles that one hop the right fielder, or they're doubles. He has pumped 5 out. Each of the 5 have been pretty majestic, to be honest. Like, I appreciate that he doesn't K. But I think that there are some moments where Endy will make contact with a B swing. He's got a really good hit tool. He's got an excellent hit tool for a catcher.
Yeah.
And I think as you get up the upper levels, that can start to be exposed a little bit. We've talked about it with like really good hit tool guys, almost like not having the production numbers because they're making contact with pitches that they don't want to be making contact with. And I've seen a lot of that from Endy Rodriguez. What I have seen is a guy that commands himself really well defensively. And I think I said it on the last episode, like that dude passes the makeup charts with flying colors.
Yeah, we're hoping to link with him out there. And I mean, that would be, I've heard nothing but fantastic things even before you got to meet him. And of course, if he passes the Jack McMullen character test,
because I hate people.
Yeah, I hate you and your high horse over there. Like if you think he's a good guy, then like, this guy must be like getting his work in 24/7. He must shake everybody's hand. He must be a fantastic dude. No, but I was really curious for your take. I have not done the full, like, there's, when I want to dive into what's wrong with a player or what's going on, I will watch legitimately 150 at bats. And then I'll text you like while I'm going through all the at bats, kind of my takeaways. I haven't done that yet with Endy, but some of the quick takeaways from me: home run to fly ball rate, way down. That was kind of expected because you go from Altoona and some of the other environments to Indy. How does Indy play?
Super pitcher friendly. 418 to left center. It's 405 to right center.
So I don't have the ballpark factors that Baseball America puts together in front of me, which by the way is fantastic and really is an important context to everything. I really think that's playing a part in it. And I think when he gets to the big leagues, he'll be somewhere in the middle of that. 8% home run to fly ball rate is just not what you would expect. Last year it was 19%. And for those that may not be familiar with the number, it's literally what percentage of your fly balls are leaving the yard. You want to be in the 14, 15% range. For a guy like Endy, you can even be in the 10 to 12% range because he's such a hit tool guy. His exit velocities are up, to your point, though, Jack. A lot of 104s, 105s. His launch angle is not that different. His ground ball rate's not that much higher. It seems like a little bit of some weaker fly balls, like you mentioned, with the B swings, and then you compound that with a more cavernous outfield, and all of a sudden you have this compounding home run limitation. And I think that's all it really is. So one of those things will kind of get taken care of as he gets to the big leagues. The other thing is going to get taken care of as he racks up more at bats. He just turned 23. Not concerned about Endy Rodriguez whatsoever.
No, me neither. And this is a proximity guy. So, like, is he in Seattle? Is he in Pittsburgh? It's like you hold your breath every single day, not knowing what's going on because they're still running out hedges and delay every day.
Which is crazy when they have Henry Davis, who can probably catch decently, and he can swing it. Next up is one of my favorite catching prospects in baseball. I think that's basically become the thing I say before his name every single time. Jefferson Caro, Milwaukee Brewers. He's going to be one of the biggest risers on our top 100. He was a preseason number 95 for us, and I think we're the only people that had him on a top 100 list before the season. And I think a lot of people are really excited about him and putting him on lists now, and understandably so. It's plus tools on both sides of the ball. Extremely aggressive hitter, but has not had any issues with hitting enough. Despite that, he's a 20-year-old in the Southern League who's chasing at a 38% clip, but he's only striking out at a 17% clip and somehow is walking at a 10% clip. So really aggressive early in the count, and then kind of works his way and is a battler with 2 strikes. Hits the ball hard, 106 mile per hour, 90th percentile exit velocity. Puts the ball in play, though. There's an above average hit tool there. And the defensive skills are really impressive. This guy has a chance to be one of the more well-rounded catching prospects in the game. And I think he could be a really solid big league catcher. I'm so pumped that he's at this game.
Yeah, Jefferson Caro's OPS is 150 points higher than Edgar Caro's OPS. And Edgar is 20 years old in Double-A. Jefferson is 20 years old in Double-A. Now, Jefferson has a really talented roster around him. Edgar is the focal point of each lineup that he's in for Rocket City. Jefferson, I guess you're prepping for that Choreo guy. But
honestly, yes, but Jefferson Caro's doing more damage right now.
Yeah. So no, I'm drunk on the Jefferson Caro Kool-Aid, much like you are. When I see a sub 20% K rate from a catcher that I know is a good defensive catcher, I'm
salivating. 12 pumps.
Yeah, I'm salivating, dude.
Yeah. And I know he plays in a hitter-friendly environment, but you look at the home runs, it's not all – if they were all pull side like Jackson Reitz had perfected the hit it into the jet stream in Biloxi thing.
Jackson with no C.
Yeah, it's not the case with Caro. He uses the whole field. He hits the ball hard, and I'm really excited about this guy. If he cuts his chase rate down a little bit, the craziest thing with Caro, too, is he's continuing to cut that chase rate down. I just pulled the last 20 games, which this is getting me even more drunk on the Kool-Aid. Last 20 games for Caro, chase rate cut to 27%, which is just about 10% lower. And over that span, 18% walk rate, Jack, 11% K rate. He's slashing 324, 443, 493 in that span. If he just now figured out how to, be a little bit more patient and improve those swing decisions, which it looks like, I'm seeing a guy that's walking almost twice as much as he strikes out now. Like, Caro might be getting better as we're watching, and he could finish this year in AAA before he turns 21.
I mean, it's so hard to look at a catcher and say, yeah, you're going to debut before you can legally drink. But hey, that's what those numbers say, don't they?
He's getting close. I think he finishes in triple, and then next year might have a chance to make it out of camp. If he doesn't, then starts in triple and earns a promotion pretty quickly. The last thing that was missing was the chase rate. He cuts that, and now we're seeing him walk at a nearly 20% clip and still pulverize baseballs. He's also keeping the running game at bay. He's thrown out nearly 40% of base stealers. I could do a whole episode on Jefferson Caro. I did a thread on him before the season. We'll save it for another time because I could actually talk about this guy all damn day.
Yeah.
Dalton Rushing, the last catcher. The National League catching situation is awesome. Both catching situations are awesome. Baseball is in a catching renaissance right now. And I know Rushing may not stick behind the dish. We'll see. But people said that about Will Smith, and then he made it work, and now he still rakes. Rushing's kind of similar. The bat leads the way, but he's athletic enough to maybe figure it out as a catcher. He's been awesome for the Dodgers, high A affiliate, offensively, and kind of gets better a little bit catching wise, but he's played a fair amount of first too. They really love the bat here, and I don't blame them. That's kind of what the calling card is, and Rushing has been phenomenal since he started professionally. It's just been mashing since the word go.
Somebody's got to move. It's not going to be Will Smith. I think Will Smith is a prime extension candidate for the Dodgers, but either Rushing or Cartaya. I think Cartaya may still have, I guess, a bit more intrigue just because
I think he has more value potentially. Maybe not actually. He's hitting 197.
Rushing should make the Dodgers feel good about moving Cartaya.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Because Cartaya is not that true two-way guy that I think people were hoping he'd be. He's kind of gotten thicker and doesn't move quite as well. The power's there, but I've always thought the power was overrated with Cartaya. You'd be selling low, but maybe you're not selling at the bottom. And he's 21. He's got plenty of time to figure it out. I would way rather move Cartaya than Rushing, which is crazy. If you said that before the year, I think people would have got mad at you. Rushing has earned this. I think that he is kind of becoming one of the better prospects in a very good Dodger system. And I think there's a high chance we see Cartaya moved rushing is awesome. I'm interested to see if he squeezes in behind the dish. Same with Soderstrom. They're kind of in the similar boat here in this game. But I mean, everyone's there to watch rushing hit, not catch. But I kind of want to watch him catch a little bit too.
Yeah, no, I'm curious who's going to be displaced because we know that Jefferson Carroll is going to catch for the National League. Endy's been playing some first base. Rushing may play some first base or DH. Not sure. I think Endy slap him at first and have Rushing catch a little bit in this game. I would love to see that. The one thing that is so clear that like Dalton Rushing is too good for high A.
Yeah.
With that
he was too good for low A last year. He had 424.
Yeah. With that 440 OBP and that 20% walk rate, that tells you that like this guy is bored during some plate appearances because he's not getting anything to hit. When he does get something to hit, it's too easy to hit because he has that 940 OPS. So I understand that Cartaya is the everyday guy in Tulsa. You may have to look at a timeshare situation in Double A because high A, I think you're wasting his time if he's back in Great Lakes after the All-Star break.
Well, and you move somebody, then you got a little bit more space. But yeah, I do feel like Rushing's kind of been slow rolled a little bit. Hit 424 with 8 homers and 28 low A games last year. He's pulverized high A this year. And he's running a 15% chase rate. So to me, it says like these takes are easy for him. He's not really being pushed. You can point towards the strikeout rate, but I really think it's just because he's kind of Edouard Julianing it and just going deep into counts and saying, I'm not going to like expand the zone to expand the zone. And he's getting his. So yeah, he's striking out a little bit, but I'm not really worried about the strikeout rate. 81% zone contact. He just can hit. He hits the ball hard. He's going to be a top 100 prospect in our update just on the bat alone. Whether he sticks behind the dish or not, I got to do a little bit more digging, but very, very exciting prospect there for the Dodgers. And a nice snag from Louisville again. They seem to churn out the catchers whether they stick there or not. Will
Smith, Henry Davis, Dalton Rushing. That works. That plays.
That does play. Jordan Lawler, as we get to the infield, Arizona Diamondbacks prospect who has really been coming alive of late, not even 21 yet, and has just been playing great. He's been fun to watch. I think he's stolen 4 bags in his last 2 games, so he's starting to really add that into his game a bit more, which is fun. And I mean, Lawler's a guy that you're going to stop what you're doing to go watch. And entered the season as a number 12 prospect in baseball, has given us no reason to drop him down. Yes, he's in a hitter-friendly environment, but even despite that, 105 WRC plus is fantastic when you're a 20-year-old in that environment. 24 bags, 10 home runs, 11% walk rate, 24% K rate, slightly below that, actually. It's 23.6. And he's had a pretty low BABIP this year, which extremely low for a guy of his speed. So you could point towards some bad batted ball luck, which is even more nuts. Lawler's a special talent. There's not much else we're going to tell you that you don't know about this guy already.
So Jordan Lawler, 212 in April with an 820 OPS. He was hitting the ball into the gaps and out of the ballpark. In May, he hit a $188 with an OPS under 600. In June, in 22 games, he hit 302 with a 904 OPS. So that tells you that he's heating up big time.
Yep, exactly. And the zone contact over his last 30 games is 88%. So he's also found a way to just more consistently make contact. He's not whiffing on fastballs. He's actually been pulverizing fastballs over the last 30 games, hitting 400 against heaters. So this is a guy that's figured out how to just be quick to fastballs, doesn't miss them, and everything else. The swing decisions have been better against secondary stuff, and that'll give you much better numbers across the board. I'm very excited about what Lawler's doing.
Have you seen the lefty-righty splits?
On the year, he is – yeah, he's hitting near 400 against lefties. Small sample size, 45 plate appearances, but 385, 444, 692 against lefties this year. Like that'll play.
But against righties, he's really struggling, man.
Yeah, it is interesting. 212, 315, 394. I think that was really just quality breaking balls right on right that were giving him some trouble. And again, the swing decisions improving against secondary stuff helps a ton. Last 25 games, 861 OPS against righties. But it seemed like those hard sliders right on right against upper level competition were probably affecting him a bit.
Yeah, I can't wait to make a sweeping decision about Lawler versus Meyer as soon as I watch both of them in person.
In the Futures game off of 2 at-bats?
Yeah, 2 at-bats. I'm just going to decide who I'm riding with for the rest of my life.
Next guy, Ryan Bliss, who his teammate in Double A. This dude has not slowed down. No. It's crazy because You're not seeing anyone pay much attention to him. He's 23. He doesn't come with like a ton of pedigree, though he was, I believe, a second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. When was he drafted?
Second round.
Yeah. I mean, Bliss is playing ball. Like, well, when are we going to start giving him some more love? Probably not going to play shortstop. Definitely looks like more of a second baseman, but he is not slowing down. And whether that is literally on the base paths, you can motor, or with the power, 12 homers. He's hitting 350 in AA this year. Bliss is fun, and it's becoming increasingly more difficult to deny. This is where I love the futures game, because this guy might not be a household name. People might not be going to see Ryan Bliss, but they'll come away and say, shit, that Ryan Bliss guy was really good. And now he's on your radar. 26 bags, 12 pumps. He's been one of the breakout prospects of the year after kind of a meager season in high A last year.
Yeah, so Bliss was really good at Auburn in 21. 50 games, he hit 365 with a 1082 OPS. And Bliss was, this great blend of stolen bases and pop. He had 15 homers in those 50 games at Auburn. And then he gets into pro ball, and he's fine. He hit like 270 at a 780 OPS in a couple of hitter-friendly environments. Then he goes to Hillsborough last year and, is not that good. He looks like, a college bat that's holding down an everyday spot, and he's a fine 7 hitter. It resulted in a 640 OPS. It was not good. But this year, he's totally turned the page. And I think if he had a good year in high A last year, where the casual baseball fan is a bit more excited, or the casual prospect follower, because the casual baseball fan doesn't know Ryan Bliss, but the casual prospect follower knows Ryan Bliss and is excited to watch him in the futures game. I think you should get really excited to watch this guy in the futures game, because he has a previous track record of success, but not like this. And in double, this is crazy.
I think, just watching Bliss, it's a athletic swing. It's a flat swing, and he'll get down to a knee to get to a ball. He'll spin off one and kind of fight it off. He's one of those guys that I don't think any of the underlying numbers are going to love him all the time, but you just can't totally quantify his ability to find the gaps and put the bat on ball. And just some B swings are that's hurting you. Sometimes guys they're able to get off swings that work and they find the gap. He shoved it up the Tulsa Drillers, this last 4 or 5 days. I think he has 6 hits in 4 games, several for, I think, 4 for extra bases against the Tulsa Drillers, which nobody does.
And 5 bags.
And 5 bags. He gets these swings off where you're doesn't look that pretty, but it's a line drive in the gap. Ryan Bliss is one of those guys where you don't really teach the way he hits, but it works and you don't change it. And I think that's part of the reason why he's overlooked. And I'm very pumped to see him in the futures game. I want to get an in-person look at him because I've really enjoyed the video on him. He's a fun watch, and I'm starting to buy in more and more on what he's doing. I really am.
Can I just say I'm so excited to sit next to you and make all these crazy claims, every single ball in play for the futures game?
Can I tell you I'm dreading that?
No, you're going to love it. You're going to have a great time.
I'm looking forward to it. I already did that with our good friend Peter. You don't think Peter was making any sweeping claims when we were watching the futures game together?
No shot. No, he was very calculated and subdued, I'm sure. He's got to see more butts.
It was one fastball, and he's that's the best player I've ever seen. I don't blame him. With Cade Cavalli, it was the first fastball was 101. It was it looked like he threw it underhand. It was so effortless. And Peter's why is that not the number 1 prospect? It's always fun watching. And that's why I love the futures game. It gets people pumped.
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill is a guy that I talked about on the Just Baseball show, shortstop with the San Diego Padres org, that he could go 0 for 3 in this game with 3 ground outs, and people are going to fall in love with him because everything he does looks great. He's cut from that Marcelo Meyer cloth where he's just smooth as hell, but he's, I think, even more advanced bat to ball wise. Doesn't have quite the power and doesn't lift as much as Meyer, but he's already kind of showing that and starting to do it. High school guy, 20 years old, just turned 20, missed half the year last year with an injury, so still very young in his development. And the bat to ball skills are just phenomenal for a 6'3" left-handed high school bat. He's starting to get rolling here, Jack. He's hit a lot more home runs of late. His last 30 games, OPS of 846, hitting over 305. What stands out the most to me, 13% K rate this year. is really remarkable for a young shortstop in high A. As we're recording this, 3 consecutive 2-hit games, 3 home runs in his last 3 games. It's starting to come together, and there's power projection here for him. Like, he still has room to fill out. He is very athletic. He's become one of my favorite prospects in baseball, and he's got a shot to be a top prospect in baseball by the time he debuts. 90% zone contact is crazy too.
Yeah, I was texting the voice of Fort Wayne, John Nolan, about Jackson Merrill, and he had nothing but like really good things to say about Merrill. Makeup great, and like I love getting the makeup report from guys that are around him every day. So makeup great. I think that he was a little shocked by the slow start. I think Merrill was a little shocked by the slow start, but it's cold as shit in Fort Wayne in April, man.
It's one of the hardest places to hit. We talked about that. You were surprised, like even to the degree that park factors. It was
because I watched Johnny Holmes and Augustine Ruiz go nuclear.
Yeah, it was right next to the worst Florida State League stadiums,
which is
for hitting. It was, I think, the only worst one was Jupiter, where the Marlins play spring training, which is cavernous as hell, and in Florida, where it's humid and the ball goes nowhere.
Yeah, no, I mean, bad ballpark plus crappy weather will equal not the best version of Jackson Merrill.
Plus challenging level for a 19-year-old who missed a ton of the year last year.
Yeah, but no, man, I'm bought in on what Merrill's doing, and I think everybody around him watching him every day is bought in on what Merrill's doing. He seems like a guy that, I think you mentioned it the other week. Like, he could go 0 for 2 and we'll still walk away like Merrill's good.
That's what I was just saying. Like, he's going to go 0 for 3 and everyone's going to love him. But no, I could see him showing up on this stage, and especially he's riding it so hot into this game. He would probably be my pick for like player of the game, or MVP of the game, because of how hot he is right now. If he keeps this rolling, like he's going to have the momentum going right in there. Very pumped to see Merrill on that stage.
Gotcha.
Noelvi Marte, you just saw. He just got promoted and made his AAA debut in Indianapolis, and you saw a couple 2-hit games. He's starting to settle in nicely, including the last game where 2 for 4 with a triple. He's punched out, but I think he's going to get comfortable. Whiff is not a huge concern for me. It's more approach, and the approach has gotten better as the years gone on. Where are you at on Marte and kind of what you've seen over the last few games?
Yeah, I mean, I see a guy that is really young in AAA. I don't think that he's the guy that's like due up next. I think
he needs a full year.
Yeah, I think that he'll finish this year, and like he'll need good part of next year in Louisville too. I think he's gonna be a Louisville bat for a while. Marte, like, he has been badly beaten by a couple of right-on-right breaking balls off the plate away. He's been beaten by left-on-right, like sinker or changeup that's like not that good either, like 89, 90 mile an hour sinkers that are off the plate. I think he's swing happy when things are off the plate away to him.
Yeah.
I've also seen him pull up on a couple of balls at third base. I see the talent. He's made a couple of really nice plays on like slow rollers. He's barehanded. He's got a really strong arm. Third base is his future home. But he's got shit that he needs to iron out. And I think it'll be interesting to see him on full display, because I have seen him pump a ball, I think 102, 103 to right center. And it's really impressive. And I have seen him make a couple really impressive plays defensively. But there's been, like, you've got the good and you've got the bad. I need to not see the bad. I need to see the good and the average. And that's a Major League Baseball player.
And he's 21 in AAA, and this is the time to work through all of those things. But the things that you mentioned, those are some of the approach frustrations, is out and around often, which you can pick apart guys that are trying to go pull side and yank everything by being a lefty who, kind of goes working away from you, or being a righty who throws something breaking away. He's going to learn to kind of stay inside of it and drive it the other way. He started doing that a little bit more. And this is the best prospect in the Red system, though, right? Is that still your takeaway? He's 21. Like Christian Encarnacion, like he's got a lot of time to get to Christian Encarnacion Strand territory.
He's got a ton of time to get to CES. And Phillips really struggled. I think Marte is number one. Yeah.
I think people, including us, maybe a little bit, but people were a little too harsh on Marte probably going into this year. He made quick work in Double-A, and this is going to be a good challenge for him to develop.
It's so clear that he's a freak athlete too.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's also clear that I think he can be a solid third baseman, which it's going to take reps, but he's just got to keep playing there.
Yeah.
Brady House is a guy that I think I have been probably lower on than a lot of others and more wrong on by being low. Hurt last year, which I didn't really know. And I think it made its way into his swing. And now he's healthy. It was like a back thing. There were some other ailments. And from what I've been able to gather, it was really affecting him last year. Now the Nationals' former first-round pick, number 11 overall in 2021, he's got nuclear this year, man. He's hit a home run 113 already as he's just turned 20. He's hitting the crap out of the ball. He's lifting the ball more. He's made the move to third full time, which is where he belongs. But he is murdering high A competition. He's hitting the ball really hard at 106.5, 90th percentile exit velocity, 81% zone contact is more than enough. He's starting to lift the ball more consistently. Still has the propensity to roll over, still a little aggressive. But for a guy who just turned 20, that's demolishing high A. Brady House is a top 100 prospect, and I was way too hard on him. This is a really good pat. This is a really good talent.
It's not just you, Doug. Like, you look at any top 100 list, and Brady House was not on it coming into this year because he was unavailable. And when he was available, he was not good last year. So, like, you can't knock yourself because everybody jumped off that train, but 300 with that level of juice, this guy's also kind of built like a brick shit house, Brady House is. So you can appreciate the sturdy 300 bat. The Nats have something good cooking in the system. Is it, a development front? No. But is it IDing, solid answers both in the draft and via trading a generational talent? Yes.
He's much better than Elijah Green.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's that. They did better on the Brady House pick than Elijah Green.
Yeah. But they did good. They did good on Jake Bennett.
Yes. I don't know. I got to do like a full like audit of their system and figure out where I stand on. Like, it's not great, but they hit on some. It's weird. It's really weird. Yeah. It's hard to miss on a Juan Soto trade. You just say, give me all of your best prospects. Hassel's been really struggling. So it's interesting. They don't develop great, but House looks like a success story, whether you want to give all that credit to House or maybe a little bit with the Nats. When I was on the Nats backfield, though, I did like they've overhauled the prospect development side of things. They have some new people there and farm development side of things. And I liked what I saw there. One thing that I wanted to know, remember when I said nobody's hit a home run off of Jacob Mizraowski?
Yeah.
Brady House hit an Oppo double, 408 feet off of Jacob Mizraowski. That's the furthest hit ball of the year off of him, and that should be gone like anywhere. I have no idea why that didn't leave the yard. Based on where the Nationals play, it would have been gone by about 25 feet where it was hit. So Brady House could easily be the only guy that would have hit a home run off of Mizraowski this year.
Eesh. How about it?
Naz Nunez checks in for the Marlins, middle infield. Electric athlete, steals bags with the best of them, and one of the best defenders I've seen in the minor leagues at shortstop. Not going to hit much, but he's fun. And I think the Marlins don't have many options to send there. They weren't going to send Jacob Berry. They could have maybe sent Khalil Watson, but he was kind of marred in a slump. And I think they wanted to reward Naz Nunez, who's, worked hard and was off to a good start, but he's slowed of late. It's glove and speed. And he's fun, and he'll probably make a highlight reel play, but you're not going to get much offensively.
No, but hopefully he gets on base and he swipes it back.
Yeah.
Like that's just what we're looking for. We're looking for a walk, and he makes magic happen.
A highlight reel play.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys that are running rampant in this game because they want to show off the wheels, and I think nobody is going to do that more effectively than Naz Nunez if he does get the opportunity to do so.
He's made some crazy highlight reel plays this year, though, and he might make a highlight reel play up the middle there. Last guy in the infield before we go to the outfield, BJ Murray, corner infielder, Chicago Cubs. This guy's been kind of one of the underrated performers. I would have liked to see Hayden McGeary. I think Hayden McGeary is for real. And I'm going to start talking about him a little bit more. I might do a thread on him very soon. McGeary's crazy power. Like, I watched that guy, I think, go 0 for 4 with 3 110-mile-per-hour batted balls. But we're not here to talk about Hayden McGeary. BJ Murray's earned this too. He's been really solid this year between all in Double-A, actually, which is impressive. He's 23 years old. He's produced both, in the power department a little bit. He's been dynamic and playing different positions, and he looks like a solid prospect. He's a patient hitter. He gets on base, and I think Murray's a fun guy that has earned this, and it's good to balance it out with some BJ Murrays, and he can swing it. Switch hitter too.
Yeah, they have a billion shortstops. I kept on going through the list when we were putting this together. I was like, who's going to play third base? Who's going to play first base? I was like, okay, one of the catchers is going to play first base, but who's going to play third? BJ Murray's going to play third base.
Yeah.
So
I'm in.
You need a third baseman, and I think this guy has a ton of juice in the tank. You see 17 doubles, 7 homers in 65 games. Like, you want the homer output to be a little bit higher for a guy that's in the futures game, but he's got a lot of doubles that are flirting with leading.
Yeah, he hits the ball hard. He's definitely got above average power. So he's a fun player, and I'm glad he's in the game though. But I'd like to see McGeary, but both very late picks. Murray 15th rounder, McGeary was somewhere around there too. Murray in the 2021 draft.
Yeah.
Wrapping up with the outfield here, and this is just a banger outfield here.
Yeah.
Jackson Chourio, number 5 prospect preseason coming in. I mean, I know the numbers may not jump off the page, but this is a guy who just turned 19 and is in Double A and is holding his own. And again, had to deal with the Southern League BS and has held his own. 22% K rate is the most telling thing to me. This kid at 19 years old in the Southern League, only punching out 22% of the time is a great sign. He's putting the ball on the ground a little bit too much. Sometimes the contact's a little too weak, but the 90th percentile exit velocity 107 is fantastic. The offensive numbers are slightly above average. He's 19. It's really just that simple. He's been swinging it better over the last week or so. You have to have Jackson Chourio at this game. He's one of the most exciting names in minor league baseball, and even if the numbers aren't off the charts, you see flashes of it. He's hit some home runs this year that you're like, whoa. Yeah. He's going to be really, really good.
I'm just excited to get a look at him in person in terms of the physical build. Everybody wants to see Jason Dominguez in person to prove that guy's real. Like Chourio, I want to just prove to myself that this guy's a real dude that looks like this at 19 years old. You know what I mean?
The BP is crazy. The twitchiness, the bat speed, you're gonna be wowed by what he can do. And I'm excited to see him again in person too. James Wood is another dude. Talk about the build. The first time I saw James Wood, I was like, that's that.
Who is that dude? Yeah.
That guy's massive, but he controls himself so well. He controls his body so well. Nationals prospect, big part of that package that came over and in the Juan Soto deal. Probably could end up being the best piece here. The numbers are really good. They've come down a little bit in Double A, which, okay, he's a 6'7" center fielder at 20 years old in Double A. It's remarkable that he's even up there at this point. He is such a special talent. Even if he moves to a corner, I think he can get by in center, but even if he moves to a corner, the power's crazy. The field of hit is really good for a guy of his size. I think whiff's going to be a problem, relatively speaking. But, man, if he's striking out 28, 29% of the time, that's fine because the power is crazy. The speed is crazy. You're looking at the Aaron Judge starter kit here. I don't know if the power will be quite as prolific, but I think the field of hit is way more advanced than it was for Aaron Judge at this age. I know it is at this age. The approach is fantastic. I'm not saying he's going to be Aaron Judge, but there's those commonalities, and the whiff is palatable when you have the skill set, the power, and the tools that Wood has. I have no doubts this guy's going to be a very good big leaguer. I know that there's some risk with the profile. I'm not as concerned because I think this guy's a special talent.
So I would tell you that I think that he's met his level in Double A. I'm like, hey, how concerned are you that he's hitting 229? How concerned are you that he's, his OPS has dropped 200 points? But he had a 157 WRC plus in high A. I think the struggling version of James Wood that we're seeing right now is cause for a teensy bit of panic. Hover your hand over hey, maybe this is the level that he sticks at. He's got a 106 WRC plus. So the version of a struggling James Wood, meeting his level James Wood, is still an above average hitter at his level, and he's 3.5 years younger than the average hitter in Double A.
Yeah, they're spinning the shit out of him, and that's, he's going to adjust, but they're spinning him like crazy. The last 20 games, he's seen more sliders than fastballs, and he crushes fastballs, crushes. And that's what he was doing in Double, and then they adjusted, and now they're spinning him. And I think he'll find a way. He's 20, now seeing advanced breaking balls. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Number 7 overall prospect coming into the year, and he's not budging from there. Pete Crow Armstrong. How about this dude? Cubs have a special one here. I like keep waiting for him to slow down offensively because of how aggressive he is, and he's just not slowing down. 841 OPS in Double-A, the best defensive center fielder you'll see, really. There's a little bit of whiff, but he keeps it in check, and he comes up with clutch hits all the time. He's electric. There was some crazy clip where he tagged up on a ball that was like barely out of the infield. He scored on a dribbler, basically. He's so electric. He's a special talent. One of my favorite guests we've had on the show. Pete Crow Armstrong is the epitome of what you need in the futures game. 21 years old, making quick work of Double-A offensively, which is crazy because his floor is elite defensive center fielder, but the bat keeps proving competitive. And more than that, 841 OPS in Double-A, despite still having things to work on in the box, it just shows you that this guy's just kind of built for it.
His thing is like great jumps, but I almost wish like he purposefully doesn't get a great jump on one of these balls and just shows off like the track down speed, the closing speed, and then like full extension dive. Like, he can put on a highlight reel. I just want him to get the opportunity to make the highlight play, because that is the one that, you know, gets Cubs fans salivating and like burns Chicago down if this happens in the future.
100%. He's so good that I think he could like wait 1,000 and then run after
exactly.
The ball.
That's what I want him to do. It's like, oh, misread it, psych. Like, let's go get it.
I'm a huge fan of his. If he can chill on the chase rate a little bit, I think that'll help. But again, how do you tell a guy that's hitting around 300 or in the upper 200s and is matched at every level to swing less? It's hard to convince them that. So
that's the thing, man. Like 125 WRC plus in high A last year, 56 games in Double-A, 125 WRC plus. Like, I'm not going to tell a 125 WRC plus guy that like he needs to make this, you know, crazy change to his approach.
Change. If he struggles, then it's great. You got that thing in your back pocket that it can make you a little bit better instead of having to change your swing or make any crazy adjustments. Yeah. Justin Crawford, Philadelphia Phillies, second to last guy we'll hit on here. He's been awesome in low A. And son of Carl Crawford, first round pick. A lot of ground balls, but he absolutely flies. He hits the ball harder than I thought he would. He's a really talented player. I'm very eager to see him because I haven't seen anything of him in person. I want to see kind of what that swing looks like, how much impact there is there. That's a batting practice session I'm definitely going to be tuned into. But 19 years old, puts up above average exit velocities, no home runs yet, but a lot of extra base hits. And, you know, he gets away with a really high ground ball rate because of how fast he is. It's a 70% ground ball rate. That is not going to fly when the defense is better, but he's still a really special talent. So I'm excited to see Crawford in person at this game. And, you know, when you hit 338 in low A as a first round pick in your 19-year-old season, you're going to go to the futures game.
I just want to see how fast this motherfucker is.
Yeah.
Like that's all I want to do. I just want to see how fast he is. I want to see him. Chances are he's going to put a ball on the ground. I want to see him try and beat it out.
Yeah, and he probably will. But better infield now. We'll see. But yeah, I agree. I want to see this dude motor. How many bags is it? 32 for 36, or is he stolen more since then?
Let me see.
I'll pull up Yanquiel Fernandez to wrap up.
We've got one more guy after that.
Do we actually?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we do. Yanquiel Fernandez, though.
Justin Crawford is 33 for 37 now.
Okay, so he stole one more, and he got. So he stole one more. Yeah. Yanquiel Fernandez, Colorado Rockies. This guy hits the living snot out of the ball. 21 home runs now this year. He's 20 years old, and since getting the bump up to double, has already hit 4 homers. He's going to strike out. He's been striking out a decent amount, but he's also been walking a good amount. The amount of power that this guy has, if you put him in Coors, he's got like 35 plus home run upside at Coors Field if he can hit enough. That's the big question. But 80% zone contact looks pretty good. Chase rates are really high. He's extremely aggressive, but his lower half control is remarkable. There was a swing where he was totally fooled in the way he held his back hip just enough to still be able to pull the ball out of the yard. It was a Jeff Ponce video from Baseball America. I was like, wow. This guy's special, and he's electric, and he's fun. I know you're excited to see Yanquiel Fernandez.
I'm very excited. Is he the top prospect in the Rockies system? Tovar graduated. Adael Amador, Zach Veen.
Amador's the top prospect.
Amador's the top prospect?
Then I think it might be Yanquiel.
Yeah, especially with Veen being hurt now for the year.
Yeah. Yep.
So you think it goes Amador, Yanquiel, Veen, Romo?
I think so.
Okay.
Yankeel's got it like that, man. He hits the crap out. Hit a home run 114 already this year. He just turned 20.
That's a freak show.
Yeah. Last but not least, a burner as well. Victor Scott, the second outfielder, St. Louis Cardinals. Underrated guy that's already stolen. I'm sure it's more now, but by the time we wrote this, it was 50 bags in 66 games.
Yeah.
What is he at now?
Victor Scott in 71 games, he got the bump to AA, is 52 for 59.
Yeah, this guy just absolutely burns. Yeah, he's got extra base hit, gap to gap power, doesn't strike out. This is a fun guy to be in the game, and just super, super fast. Is another dude that I'm just excited to see how much he can fly and watch him go if he puts one in the gap.
So Victor Scott, 5 games with AA Springfield. He got the bump prior to last week. 6 hits in his first 5 games, and in 22 plate appearances, he's punched out just 5 times. So he's giving himself the opportunity to use that speed, and he was 2 for 2 in the stolen base department this week.
Nice piece for the Cardinals to pick up here, and super fun with the speed and just enough juice to be a decent hitter. So we'll see how he develops, but I think this is a very underrated prospect.
Yep.
That'll do it for the National League side of this. And if you missed the American League side, go check out the previous episode. We're going to do a little bit of draft preview for the next episode and that Mariners farm system rundown as well, that I put a big dent in on that long flight as well. So a lot of fun stuff coming up this week. Jack, any final thoughts as we wrap up?
I don't think so. Go National League. If I can get any National League branded apparel at the Futures game, I'm going to do it because I'm going to be rooting hard for the National League and my new best friend, Yanquiel Fernandez, who I've never met.
Yeah, I think the National League is an electric ball club. I'm Team National as well, but both are very fun. That'll do it. We'll talk to you about the draft and Mariners prospects later this week. So always thank you for listening. If you could leave a rating, we really appreciate it. Talk to you soon.